On a day that was rather unusual, as my husband, who typically confines himself to his room, had just stepped out, our home intercom began to ring persistently. I went to the door, only to be greeted by my mother-in-law, who appeared unusually excited. Taken aback by her unexpected visit, I greeted her. "Hello, what brings you here at this unusual time?" "Firstly, you should answer your intercom more promptly. Making me wait is quite rude, don't you think?" she scolded. "I apologize. I was just wrapping up some work," I responded. "Work? It's hard to believe you're doing anything important from home. I suspect you're just lazing around," she accused. "That's not true at all. I'm genuinely engaged with my tasks," I assured her, trying to keep the conversation calm. "I don't want to hear any excuses. You're living a comfortable life here, all thanks to my son's substantial income. It's just not fair. My son and I have decided to start a new chapter, just the two of us. You'll need to make arrangements to move out," she declared with an air of finality. With a self-satisfied smile, she produced a piece of paper from an envelope and handed it to me. "Take a look," she insisted. The document was clearly labeled as divorce papers, with my husband's signature already in place. "Wait, are these divorce papers?" I asked, genuinely astonished. "Yes, he's realized he can't continue this way. Sign these and leave the house immediately," she stated triumphantly, clearly anticipating my dismay. However, I wasn't as disturbed as she had hoped. With a composed smile, I signed the papers. Internally, I found her misunderstanding somewhat amusing. She had no idea what was truly happening. "My name is Sarah, and I work from home as a freelance writer and editor, leveraging my previous experience at a publishing company to maintain a steady flow of income. Working late nights and weekends was a common requirement during my tenure in publishing. Despite the uncertain nature of freelancing, my earnings, which included salary bonuses and copyright-related rewards, allowed me to save a considerable amount of money and maintain a comfortable lifestyle. I first met my husband, Kevin, at the publishing company where we both worked. He was an aspiring writer whose passion for storytelling deeply resonated with me. My support for his dreams eventually blossomed into a deeper love, and our shared career ambitions made the early years of our marriage particularly fulfilling. After we got married, I transitioned to freelancing full-time, working from home. I had always believed that Kevin and his family understood and appreciated the value of my career and income. However, as time passed, it became apparent that they struggled to recognize the legitimacy of my work. My in-laws, who held more traditional views, found it difficult to understand the concept of working from home and perceived freelancing as less stable compared to Kevin's steady job. This led them to undervalue my contributions. Kevin, reveling in his growing success as a renowned writer, often boasted to his parents about his achievements. This only fueled my in-laws' dismissive attitude towards me. Whenever we met, their sarcasm was palpable. They would mockingly say, "Oh, it's Sarah, who never seems to work. What brings you here today? Looking for a job recommendation?" During one such encounter, I calmly responded, "If you're worried about our living expenses, I assure you I'm doing well financially, so there's no need for concern." "Really? You sound quite confident. Perhaps you should show more gratitude to Kevin. Without him, wouldn't you be in a tight spot?" my mother-in-law retorted, her traditional values coloring her perception. In her time, women typically managed the household while men worked outside, making it challenging for her to accept my work-from-home arrangement. She probably thought I was shirking my household responsibilities. This tension underscored the generational and cultural gaps within our family. Freelancing allows one to earn well without having to go to an office. With today's technology, we can work virtually from anywhere, and my job is perfectly suited for this model, I explained to my mother-in-law. However, her response was less than understanding. "All you do is argue back. You're such an unpleasant daughter-in-law. It doesn't seem right for a young woman to spend all day at home on a computer." These confrontations had become more common, and I was growing tired of the constant criticism. I held back my response, thinking, "Not this topic again," Inside, I knew I was the primary earner and also managed most of the household chores, but I kept this to myself. Initially, her complaints were only aired when Kevin wasn't around, but recently she had become more vocal about them, especially during family dinners at her house. These dinners felt less like family gatherings and more like critique sessions. Despite being invited, there was always only enough food for Kevin and no place set for me, making me feel unwelcome. Additionally, I suspected she was bad-mouthing me to other relatives, as I occasionally overheard unpleasant whispered comments. I was often taken aback by her and my father-in-law's attitudes, and Kevin's silence only deepened my frustration. They all viewed Kevin as a successful author and frequently depended on him for financial help, often asking him to buy things. Unbeknownst to them, this financial support, which had escalated to nearly $4,000 a month, was largely funded by my earnings. I decided it was time to address a growing issue with Kevin regarding the use of my earnings. "I need you to stop giving my money to your parents without consulting me first," I said firmly. His reaction was more dismissive than I had expected. "You're making money easily from home, right? It's easy money, so why shouldn't my parents benefit from it?" "Wait, Kevin, do you think I'm just lounging around at home to earn my money?" I was shocked by his casual dismissal of my hard work. It felt like a breaking point. I felt betrayed, confused, and heartbroken. Despite the ongoing issues with his parents and our different backgrounds, I had always believed Kevin was supportive, which had given me the strength to cope with the challenges. His words now shattered that belief. Kevin, whom I had once seen as a partner who understood and respected my efforts, had seemingly aligned himself with those who underestimated me. I remember our first date when he spoke with passion about his writing, his dreams, and his values. His enthusiasm and sincerity were what drew me to him, yet recently he seemed to have lost that spark, spending his days aimlessly and often engrossed in video games. This new side of him was a stark contrast to the ambitious writer I had fallen in love with. While gaming isn't inherently negative, his obsessions seemed to have taken precedence over his passion for writing, which both saddened and frustrated me. As I reflected on our relationship, I began to doubt our future together. The more I considered it, the bleaker it seemed. Therefore, I made the difficult decision to plan for a divorce and started to secretly look for a new place to live. I searched online for apartments suitable for singles, focusing on those in quiet areas with strong security and visiting several properties that met my criteria. After much searching, I finally found an apartment that suited my needs. One day, while Kevin was occupied with his games in his room, my mother-in-law made an unexpected appearance at our door. I opened the door, surprised to see her. Without waiting for an invitation, she made herself comfortable on the living room sofa and blurted out, "Sarah, you need to leave this place." "Why would you say that all of a sudden?" I managed to ask, too stunned to respond more fully at first. "It's quite clear you're not good at housekeeping, and despite Kevin's success as a popular author, you haven't improved. Most importantly, you're failing at your work," she declared abruptly. I tried to explain that she was misunderstanding the situation, but she cut me off with a calm smile. "I intend to move in here and take care of Kevin. It will be much better than dealing with that troublesome old lady." "Are you referring to Kevin's grandmother?" I inquired. "Yes, that's the one. Even though I've done so much for her, she's always finding fault and showing no gratitude. I'm fed up with it. If I move in, I can look after Kevin, allowing him to focus on his work without any interruptions. Isn't that great?" she said with a hint of satisfaction. With that, she pulled a piece of paper from the envelope she was holding. "So would you please leave this house immediately?" she demanded, handing me the divorce papers that were already signed by Kevin. "Did Kevin actually sign these?" I asked, disbelief coloring my voice. "Yes," she replied, her tone laced with a hint of amusement. I suggested to Kevin that a divorce might be best for both of you. It seems he was quite eager to agree as he signed them without a second thought. The events unfolded with shocking rapidity. I had already packed my bags in anticipation of a possible move, so I decided to relocate to the new apartment immediately. As I moved, I reflected on the whirlwind of misunderstandings and the stark new chapter unfolding before me. Following the finalization of our divorce, I embarked on a new chapter that was unexpectedly serene and free from the complications of my previous life. My new living space, a modest apartment furnished with just the essentials, provided a refreshing simplicity that greatly enhanced my ability to concentrate. Each day began calmly, with the morning light filtering through the windows and the distant sounds of birds chirping, creating a serene atmosphere. This simplicity allowed me to rise at my leisure, enjoy a leisurely breakfast, and plan my day without any rush or pressure. Being immersed in my work, time seemed to evaporate, and the absence of Kevin's and his family's scrutiny was a significant relief. Now, I could work at my own pace, in peace, enjoying the rhythm of a life unencumbered by external expectations. This newfound independence was empowering, and I relished the autonomy it brought to both my personal and professional life. One day, while deeply focused at my desk, my smartphone interrupted the tranquility with a call from Kevin. His voice, urgent and laden with desperation, jolted me from my concentration. "Sarah, please come back right now," he pleaded. "Why the sudden request?" I inquired, genuinely puzzled by his tone. To be honest, my parents discovered that I wasn't as successful as I made myself out to be. The pressure is mounting now, and they're even considering moving in with me and relying on my earnings. "I really need you to come back," he confessed. Despite the urgency in his voice, I responded with a clarity born from my recent experiences. "I understand your situation, Kevin, but returning isn't as straightforward as you might hope. Remember, you signed the divorce papers." "Yes, I remember," he admitted, his voice heavy with resignation. "And so did I. We've both chosen separate paths now, so you'll need to handle your problems. It's no longer my concern." As I ended the call, Kevin's voice was tinged with a mix of desperation and sorrow, but the decision to maintain my independence was firm. This exchange underscored the distance between my current life and the past entanglements. I was no longer tied to the dysfunctions of that relationship, and I felt increasingly validated in my choice to pursue a life of simplicity and peace. This new beginning, while initially daunting, had evolved into a profound source of strength and tranquility. My days were now my own, filled with the quiet joy of living authentically and independently. Each moment reaffirmed my decision to leave a relationship that no longer served me, and I embraced the future with optimism and a renewed sense of self. As I continued to navigate my life solo, I realized the importance of standing firm in one's decisions, especially when they lead to greater personal fulfillment and peace. I remained unwavering in my decision, even as Kevin sighed heavily on the other end of the phone call. "I get it, but since the divorce, I've been facing a lot of difficulties and unexpected expenses," he confessed. "I need help with things like caring for our parents and covering the costs for the disruptions this situation has caused." "Why are you bringing this up now?" I questioned, my voice tinged with confusion and frustration. "Your decisions have completely thrown off all my plans. How could you let it come to this?" There was a pause on the line before he responded. "Do you remember how you and your parents used to mock my efforts when we were married? I didn't want to say this, but now it feels like you've become an adversary. Your financial troubles are a result of your failures at work. You need to figure this out on your own." "I'm tired of being your safety net," I declared firmly. With those final words, I ended the call. Despite Kevin's numerous attempts to reach me in the following days, I blocked his number and changed my own, determined to maintain my peace. A few months later, as fate would have it, I found myself walking past the location of what used to be Kevin's house. To my surprise, it was now just an empty lot. A neighbor, noticing my puzzled look, approached and shared the recent events. The police had to intervene multiple times, they mentioned, adding a layer of seriousness to the whole ordeal. "You must have had a tough time as well," the neighbor remarked, giving voice to the chaotic backdrop against which our relationship had unraveled. Standing there, looking at the empty space where his house once stood, I felt a profound sense of finality wash over me. It seemed almost like karma. Kevin's small deceits and failures had culminated in a dramatic downfall, more poignant than any fiction he had ever written. That moment solidified a new resolve in me. From then on, I committed to living a life of honesty, choosing to express my thoughts and emotions openly and without pretense. No matter how challenging the road ahead might be, the importance of truth and the value of authentic emotional connections had never been clearer to me. This experience taught me to trust in the integrity of my path, reinforcing my belief in genuine interactions and the deep human need for sincerity in all aspects of life.